Hi, I'm Wendy with H2O Bungalow. Today I'm going to share with you how to build a wood moongate or an arch. Moon arches have been growing in popularity for weddings, have had a place in gardens as trellises, and been widely used as entryways for outdoor spaces for a long time. This post is sponsored by HomeRight's Super Finish Max Paint Sprayer. It was the best choice to apply the stain finish that we used, and you'll see it in action in this tutorial. You can download the free building plans at h2obungalow.com, search Moon Arch. There's also a link to my post in the video description as well. I recruited an extra set of hands for Michelle Smith, a two-time women's softball Olympic gold medalist and ESPN sports analyst. I have to tell you, after 3 days of hot sun and DIYing outdoors, I'm pretty sure she probably wants to keep her day job. I will share that we had some good laughs building, and this type of project is a lot easier when you have two people. Alrighty then, so let's get started. You'll need 10 2x4s at 8 feet long. So the tools you'll need are a miter saw, a drill, a Kreg jig, a circular saw, sander, and measuring tape. First, you'll cut 16 center supports, each at 20 inches long. Be sure to square an end, measure, and then make the cut. Next, cut the 4 legs to 19 inches long with a squared end on one side and an 18-inch miter at the other end. Keep your saw set to an 18-degree miter. Cut 14 trapezoids at 31 inches long from end to end. Double check all of your sizes and ends are flush before assembling your frame. Next, you'll make your pocket holes. It's faster and easier to use a hammer drill to make the pocket holes and a regular drill to set the screws. You'll set your Kreg jig to 1.5-inch material and the drill bit collar to 1.5-inch material too. Starting with the center supports, drill 2 pocket holes on each end of all of the supports. Make sure the pocket holes are on the same side. I followed the position A and C on the Kreg jig and set my drill to a high torque setting. If you have a hammer drill, that will work great for this step too. Next, you'll place the frame on the ground and pre-mark where you'll add the pocket holes on each trapezoid piece. Mark one set of 2 holes at one end of each trapezoid frame part. Now add the pocket holes where you've marked. You'll do this for both sides of the frame. To assemble the frame, you'll lay one side out on a flat surface. Use wood glue on the joints and connect the segments using 2.5-inch pocket screws. I used a painter's rag to wipe away any excess glue and a piece of cardboard under the joints to catch glue drips. It definitely helps to have an extra pair of hands to hold the joints in place for this step. Now you'll add the center supports. Mark 7 3/4 inches in from each joint. Mark the center of each support and align the marks on the frame. Add wood glue and attach them with 2.5-inch pocket screws. Continue until all of the supports have been added to one side of the moon arch frame. Once the center supports are attached, carefully move that part of the moon arch aside. Place the other side of the frame on a flat surface and mark 7 3/4 in from each joint just like you did on the first frame. Mark and add glue to all of the marked spots. Now you'll carefully place the top of the frame over the bottom frame. Align the marks and then attach with 2.5-inch pocket screws. Attach your center supports starting in the middle, work down one side and then down the other side. The last step is to cut the legs so the moon arch will stand. The easiest way to cut the 4 legs with the proper angle was to take a long 2x4 board, lay it across both sides so it crosses the inside tip of the frame. Make a line and then cut it with a circular saw. Stand the moon arch up on its legs to be sure it sits well on the ground after cutting. Be sure to use 2 people when you're moving your moon arch. The last step was to sand any rough or sharp edges off the wood. We used a random orbital sander with 220 grit sandpaper. A big project like this looks much better when the finish is evenly applied. I used my HomeRite Super Finish Max paint sprayer to apply the stain. This is what I used to get the finish. The Super Finish Max paint sprayer, of course. I had an extra Super Finish Max container, drop cloths, painter's rags, safety gear, always, which is eye protection and a respirator, and 2 cans of water-based finish. We set up in an open space and used large plastic drop cloths to protect the surrounding surfaces. Using a Super Finish Max is really easy. I added the color-coded tip that was right for my paint consistency. I used the green paint tip for this project. And the black spray cap which screws on. Turn the paint cap to direct the paint spray pattern for horizontal or vertical spray. I used the vertical spray setting to stain the moon arch. Controlling the paint flow is easy. Adjust the flow dial for more or less paint. We pre-filled 2 paint containers. It's easier and faster to swap out. Be sure to mix the water-based stain by shaking or stirring before filling your containers. Always do a test spray on a scrap so you can adjust the paint flow and the direction of the stain or paint before you start your project. To stain the moon arch, we laid it on its side on top of wood blocks. The blocks kept the paint from puddling on the underside of the wood, which causes a splotchy finish. Since Michelle hasn't used a Super Finish Max paint sprayer before, I gave her a quick rundown of 3 simple tips to make the job easier. First, hold the paint sprayer at a slight angle and keep it about 10 to 12 inches away from your surface. Second, hold the paint sprayer steady in your arm and walk with it as you paint instead of flipping the sprayer by your wrist. And last, apply the stain in one long motion from end to end without stopping, and then get the smaller details like the center supports, again, in long sweeping motions up one side and then down the other. Michelle looked like a pro right from the start as she grabbed the Super Finish Max and applied her first coat of stain. Next, we flipped over the arch and started applying the stain along the top and bottom frame of the first, and then moving into the supports last. You'll always want to spray just enough to get an even coating on your wood. Never stay in one place long enough so that drips begin. As long as you apply the paint in a long sweeping motion, you're fine. Michelle's a southpaw and got creative, going up one side of the support with her left hand and then switching to her right hand for the pass on the other side. Then we stood the moon arch up and gave one last pass to look for spots that we missed or that needed a little extra coverage. We then set the moon arch and the A-frame that we'd painted aside and let them cure for a few days. Again, you can download the complete set of building plans for the moon arch and the A-frame arch that we did not show in this video, along with the supply list on my blog post at h2obungalow.com. Search moon arch. If you like my project, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my blog when you're there to download the plans as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next creative DIY project from H2O Bungalow.